The movie revolves around a 15-year-old boy named Jimmy Grimble. He lives in Manchester with his mother Donna and goes to Greenock High School. Donna is a single mother who works at a taxi company to support the family. Meanwhile, Jimmy is obsessed with Manchester City, and he spends his free time practicing his football skills, hoping to make it to the football club one day at school. Jimmy is a misfit and is constantly threatened by the school bully Gordon Burley. The movie opens up with Donna returning home with her new boyfriend Johnny. Johnny is a biker and he tries to befriend Jimmy, but the latter acts cold and tells him that Donna actually hates bikes. The following day Jimmy goes to his school and there he carefully avoids Gordon and his bully friends who always wait for him at the entrance. During lunch Jimmy notices a new girl named Sarah. He is instantly smitten and, for a change, the girl also smiles at him. However, he soon gets surrounded by Gordon and his bully friends. They throw his backpack on the ground and pee on it before finally leaving him alone. Later Jimmy notices the school's football coach Eric Worrell putting up a notice for trials for the school's football team. After the coach leaves, Jimmy immediately hides the notice to keep other students from showing up for the trials to increase his odds of making it to the team. However, the plan fails and others, including Gordon and his friends, show up on the ground for selection. Fortunately, Jimmy makes it to the team as a substitute player, as the school only has 12 students interested in the game. Then cuts to a school board meeting, where Gordon's father, Mr. Ken Burley, laments about the school not having won a single inter-school football cup in the last few years. He recalls his school days when he used to play and the shelf was aglow with trophies. He offers to give the school $90,000 for the new sports center if the team makes it to the Manchester Cup finals. Back in the field, Gordon amazes everyone with his football skills until he uses it to knock Jimmy out. As a result, Coach Worrell kicks him out of the team. Later, Worrell is called into the principal's office and is ordered to reinstate Gordon in the team because of Burley's influence. The principal tells him that Gordon is the school's best player and they have to be practical. Meanwhile, on his way back home, Jimmy runs into Sarah. She tries to strike up a conversation, but Jimmy gets awkward and runs away. He then goes to his mom's workplace to share the good news, but she's occupied with work and tells him to go home as she'll be working late into the night. Unfortunately, he's confronted by Gordon outside his home yet again. Jimmy runs for his life and an old woman gives him refuge in her dilapidated accommodation. There, an old pair of football shoes catch his attention and the woman offers them to him. Jimmy declines, saying he already has a pair, but she tells him that the shoes are special and it will help him improve his game. When she insists, Jimmy accepts the shoes, but he dumps them on his way back home. Later, he notices Donna's ex-boyfriend Harry trying to win her back, but she sends him away. It turns out Jimmy was actually good friends with Harry and they used to go to football games together. However, Donna broke up with him when it was revealed that the latter was already married. The following day, a group of girls pick on Sarah, but she quickly teaches them a lesson by punching the main bully in the face. Jimmy is impressed and he admires her from a distance. Later, Jimmy and others assemble to leave for their first school cup match against Rockingham. However, Gordon isn't happy with Jimmy's inclusion in the team, so he throws his football kicks in a garbage truck. However, Jimmy refuses to give up, so he immediately rushes to retrieve the shoes the old woman gave the other day. The school bus almost leaves without Jimmy, but he manages to show up at the last second. The team eventually reaches their destination and the game begins. Greenock High initially dominates the game, but Rockingham players start using dirty tactics to score goals. In the second half, Gordon gets injured, and World sends Jimmy on the field to play defense. Jimmy is nervous, but something soon takes over him and he ends up scoring a goal, winning the match for his team. Jimmy is amazed by his own performance, and after returning home he visits the old woman to thank her for the shoes. Can tell that there's really something special about the shoes, and he asks her who it originally belonged to. The woman reveals that the shoes belong to a Manchester City player named Robbie Brewer. Jimmy looks up the player's name, but he doesn't find him mentioned anywhere in the club's programs. That night Johnny also moves in with Jimmy and Donna. The following day Sarah approaches Jimmy and commends him for his performance in the game. This time Jimmy is more confident and he strikes up a conversation with her. Later that afternoon Donna gives Johnny some money to take Jimmy to the Manchester City football game. However, at the stadium Johnny is confronted by his loan sharks and they seize his ticket money, warning him to return the rest of the money he owes by next week. Dejected, Jimmy returns home. Afterwards Harry also arrives for the game and he buys a program from his blind friend Bob. The next day Jimmy tells Sarah that he's going to Main Road, Manchester City's home stadium, to find out more about Robbie Brewer and asks her to accompany him. Later the two are approached by Gordon. He again bullies Jimmy and inquires if he's dating Sarah. Gordon gets scared and denies having anything to do with her before walking away. This upsets Sarah and she breaks ties with Jimmy. Therefore he later goes to Main Road by himself and ends up at Coach World's home. It turns out World played for Manchester City for 3 years, but he had to quit because it didn't work out. Jimmy tells him that if he told everyone at school that he played for City, they would have taken him more seriously as a coach. World replies that students who really want to learn will approach him regardless of anything else. Jimmy then asks him about Robbie, but World also denies knowing anyone by that name. During the next game the principal asks World to let Ken Burley coach the players because he's played professionally. However, Burley uses this opportunity to tell the players to pass the ball to his son Gordon because of Burley's bad coaching. Greenock performs terribly in the first half. During the halftime the match's referee recognizes Will and finally other students learn that he's played for Manchester City. The students then protest against Burley, and Will is again reinstated as the coach. Thanks to him, Greenock catches up in the second half and wins the match. Over the course of the next few weeks Greenock High keeps winning their matches and eventually makes it to the semi-final. The team also learns about Jimmy's boots and makes Gordon more envious. One day, Greenock High's team bus breaks down, so Harry gives them a lift back home on his truck. After dropping everyone off, Harry and Jimmy go to pick Donna from work. There Harry tells the two that he really misses having them in his life. However, before they could say anything, Johnny arrives. He is irritated by Harry's presence, so he mentions that he's about to get married to Donna. This upsets Jimmy, so later that night he tells his mom that he doesn't want her to get married to Johnny. In reply, Donna tells him to focus on his game, assuring him that she hasn't made up her mind yet. Meanwhile, Harry is upset about losing Donna and his failing marriage. It turns out his wife has also started an affair. with another man after he cheated on her with Donna. Fed up, he finally decides to separate from his wife. In the next scene, we're taken to the all-important semi-final game there. A football scout from Manchester United shows up and Burley tries to get him to sign his son. However, the scout expresses more interest in Jimmy because of his impressive gameplay. Meanwhile, Greenock goes on to win that match, but Jimmy is still hell-bent on finding Robbie Brewer. Therefore, he visits the old lady and asks her about the footballer. She tells him that she doesn't know where Robbie is because she lost touch with him a long time ago. It turns out they fell apart because of a lie she told him. The old woman says that sometimes it's better to tell a white lie than the truth. Jimmy empathizes with her and invites her to his final game at the main road. The following day, Jimmy apologizes to Sarah for his behavior and invites her to the finals before leaving for the stadium. On his way, he notices the city authorities breaking down the abandoned building where the old lady lives. Worried, he rushes to stop them, but it's too late as he finds the woman lying dead in the snow. This devastates Jimmy and he starts crying profusely before the authorities force him to leave elsewhere. Donna also leaves for the stadium, but on her way to the bus stop she notices money missing from her purse. Lo and behold, when she returns back home, she catches Johnny with another woman. She confronts him and immediately kicks him out of her house. Back at the stadium, Burley forces the principal to keep Jimmy on the bench to secure the funding. However, Jimmy's teammates stand up for him and refuse to play without him, forcing the principal to back down. Fed up with being outshined by Jimmy, Gordon then covertly steals his shoes and dumps them in the sewer, forcing him to play with a new pair before the game. Donna catches up with her son and reveals that she's kicked Johnny out. However, this does little to relieve Jimmy as he's lost all confidence. Without his magic boots, Harry also arrives for the game, and while buying the program from his friend Bob, he runs into Donna and the two reconcile soon. The game starts and Jimmy tries his best to perform, but he plays terribly. As a result, Greenock High trails behind in the first half. During the break, Harry and World tried to cheer Jimmy up, but he tells them that he can't perform without his Robbie Brewer boots. Surprisingly, Harry recognizes the name, and he takes Jimmy to his blind friend Bob, who is the infamous Robbie Brewer. It turns out he's the old woman's son, and he loved to play football. Bob and his mother fell apart because she had lied to him about his illness that was progressively making him blind. She didn't tell him about the illness because the stress only makes the situation worse. This reminds Jimmy about her last words. Sometimes it's better to tell someone a white lie than the truth. This is probably why she lied to Jimmy about the shoes. At the same time, Bob confirms that the boots were ordinary, and they didn't have any special power. Hearing this, Jimmy finally realizes that the magic was not in the shoes but within him. Now, with renewed confidence, he plays the second half brilliantly and scores the winning goal, winning the tournament for his team. After the game, Jimmy is approached by the United scout, but he turns down the offer, much to everyone's astonishment. Jimmy then reveals that he is actually signing to something better, Manchester City.